From Washington, this is VOA News. Kobani, the center of violence by the Islamic State group. The Ebola vaccine clinical trials begin in Mali. I'm Vincent Bruce, reporting from Washington. Fighting raged on Friday in the Syrian Kurdish city of Kobani near the Turkish border, with Syrian Kurdish leaders saying key government buildings have fallen to Islamic State forces. Kurdish fighters are trying to halt a 3-week offensive by the Islamic State group on the strategic border city as militants aim to take complete control of the area. Staffan de Mistura is the UN envoy to Syria.
We need that because otherwise all of us, including Turkey, will be regretting deeply that we have missed an opportunity of stopping ISIL and sending a signal that that cannot continue.
Mistura says thousands of people will most likely be massacred if Kobani falls to Islamic State fighters. The U.S. State Department has updated its worldwide caution for Americans overseas, saying it remains concerned about the continued threat of terrorist attacks, demonstrations, and other violent actions against U.S. citizens and interests. The first phase of a clinical trial of a promising Ebola vaccine has gotten underway in the West African country of Mali. Mali borders Guinea, the epicenter of the deadly viral epidemic. This vaccine has been developed by researchers at the U.S. National Institutes of Health and British drug manufacturer GlaxoSmithKline. A person said to have access to the secretive regime in North Korea says Kim Jong-un is absent from public events because he injured a leg taking part in a military drill. The explanation came amid heightened explanations that Kim is in poor health or no longer in control of the nation. This is VOA News. Friday, the South Korean Defense Ministry said in a press briefing that North Korea targeted balloons carrying anti-Pyongyang leaflets by South Korean activists, leading to gunfire between the two Koreas. The Defense Ministry said North Korean gunners fired anti-aircraft rounds at the balloons for about 20 minutes and that some of the shots landed on South Korean soil. After a warning, South Korea responded with 40 rounds from a machine gun. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang says he is confident of Hong Kong's social stability can be preserved and said China will not change its so-called one country, two systems arrangement for governing the semi-autonomous Chinese territory. Mr. Li met with German Chancellor Angela Merkel in Berlin Friday. Thousands of protesters gathered in Hong Kong Friday to renew their calls for electoral reform after government authorities abruptly canceled plans to meet with protest leaders. 4 days of protests, including possible civil disobedience, are planned in and around the Midwestern U.S. city of St. Louis, Missouri, following a recent fatal shooting of a black man by a white police officer. The planned protests coincide with similar demonstrations in the nearby St. Louis suburb of Ferguson, which was rocked by violence in August following the killing of an unarmed 18-year-old black man, Michael Brown, by a white police officer. The Norwegian Nobel Committee says Malala Yousafzai and Kailash Satyarthi were selected to receive the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize jointly for their struggle against the suppression of children and young people and for the right of all children to an education. Pakistani education activist Yousafzai told reporters Friday her selection for the award is not just for her, but for all those children who are voiceless.
This award is not just a piece of metal or a medal that you would wear or an award that you would keep in your room, but this is really an encouragement for me to go forward and to believe in myself, to know that there are people who are supporting me in this campaign. And we are standing together. We all want to make sure that every child gets quality education.
The Associated Press reports Ethiopia's government is hoping the United States will prosecute protesters who tore down the Ethiopian flag from the nation's embassy in Washington September 29th. Government spokesman Dina Mufti is quoted as accusing the demonstrators of having ties to Eritrea and the Somali extremist group al-Shabaab. A State Department official tells VOA an upcoming Europe-Iran business conference, the first gathering of its kind, underscores to Iran the great benefits of reaching an agreement with world powers on its nuclear program. The Europe-Iran Forum will take place in London next Wednesday and Thursday, October 15th and 16th. More at voanews.com. I'm Vincent Bruce in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.